They told her to step away, while the heart monitor screamed like it was offended by hope. The sound cut through the corridor, sharp and merciless, a single note that meant someone was seconds from dying. Emily Carter did not look up. She tightened her grip on the steel tray, felt the heat of the autoclave bleed through her gloves, and listened as a voice with a medical degree decided her place in the world. "Basement staff, clear the hall," Dr. Andrew Whitman barked, already moving, already loud. His coat snapped as he passed. He didn't see her. He never did. Down below, in the sterile processing department, the air was wet and metallic. Steam hissed. Machines thumped. Emily stood small in oversized scrubs, shoulders squared by habit, eyes calm in a way that unsettled people who noticed. Brenda Lawson's voice crackled over the intercom, tight with irritation. "Emily, vascular trays are late. Pick it up." "No, please." No question. Just pressure. Emily nodded, though no one could see. Her hands moved faster. Inspect, scrub, rinse. Inspect again. She worked like time could be folded thinner if you treated it right. A younger tech glanced at her, half pity, half fear. "Whitman's losing it upstairs," he whispered. He threw a clamp. Emily slid the wrapped tray onto the cart. The elevator bell chimed above, distant, impatient. Somewhere, a patient gasped. Somewhere, a doctor chose wrong. Emily pulled her sleeves down, covered the skin she never showed, and told herself the same lie she told every day. Stay invisible. Stay alive. The elevator doors slammed open like a verdict. A scrub nurse stumbled out, breath ragged, eyes too wide, and dumped a metal tray onto the intake counter, hard enough to rattle the lights. "Reflash it." "Now," she said, voice shaking. "He wants a name." The tray skidded. Instruments clinked. Emily reached for it before it tipped, steadying steel with a touch that had learned balance the hard way. She lifted a clamp into the magnifying light. Clean. No residue. No shadow. The accusation wasn't about sterility. It was about control. "I prepped it," Emily said. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't fall. It simply landed. The nurse swallowed. "He said if it happens again, you're done." Somewhere above them, the monitor screamed again, then broke into frantic beeps. The nurse fled. Emily cycled the tray anyway. Heat roared. Steam swallowed her. She worked as if the machine were listening. "Why do you let him do that?" the younger tech asked, not meeting her eyes. "You caught that cracked retractor last week." "Saved him a lawsuit." Emily tightened the wrap, clean folds, corners just loose enough for steam to breathe. "I need the job," she said, which was true enough to pass. She pulled her sleeves down and felt the old scar tug beneath the fabric. In her apartment, beneath the floorboards, a life waited that did not need permission. But hiding was safer than being right. Above, voices shouted. Below, the autoclave sang. Emily pushed the cart toward the elevator, unaware the night had already decided to drag her out of the basement and into the light. The rain hit the city sideways, needling the glass until the building groaned like it remembered other disasters. Emily clocked out and shouldered her backpack, the strap worn smooth by years of careful exits. She kept her head down, walked past the security desk, past the vending machines, humming like tired insects. The first thud rolled through the floor, deep and wrong. Not thunder. A concussion that shook dust loose from the ceiling. Lights flickered. Then the voice came over the speakers, human and afraid. Code triage external. Level 1. The words stacked up and fell over each other. Somewhere metal screamed. Somewhere glass gave up. Emily stopped at the employee door. Rain bled in under the frame. Her phone buzzed once in her pocket. Breaking news. Multi-vehicle collision. Partial collapse. She didn't read further. She didn't need to. The ambulance bay doors burst open, and the hallway filled with noise, a wall of breath and wheels and pain. A young resident slipped on water and panic at the same time, the bag valve mask skidding away across tile. Dr. Whitman barreled through, shouting, shoving, making space with his shoulders. Out of the way, he roared, and didn't notice who he hit. Emily felt the old calculation rise, cold and precise. Distance, sound, time. She turned toward the exit, rain stinging her face, and heard it cut through everything else. A wet, choking gurgle. Air trapped where it shouldn't be. Her hand tightened on the door. The night leaned in and waited for her answer. Bay 4 was a knot of bodies and noise, the kind of chaos that hides the one sound that matters. The boy's lips had gone dusky, his neck cords standing out like oars pulled too tight. A nurse hovered, hands shaking, eyes begging for permission that wasn't coming. Doctor. Whitman knelt at the leg, red everywhere, barking orders that chased each other in circles. Pressure. More pressure. The monitor stuttered. Oxygen numbers slid down like a countdown no one wanted to read. Emily stepped in, and the room pushed back. "Hey," someone snapped. "Who are you?" She didn't answer. She saw the chest lag on one side, felt the air pushing against the heart like a fist. There was no time to teach, no time to ask. She reached the crash cart, fingers already choosing. 14 gauge, second space. Midline landmarks burned into muscle memory. Whitman looked up too late. "Security!" he shouted, lunging. Emily moved once. A clean, violent motion. The needle went home, and the hiss cut through the screams, loud as truth. The boy dragged air like a swimmer breaking surface. Color rushed back. The monitor steadied, fast but alive. The room froze in the silence after impact. Emily stepped back, hands raised, breath finally catching. "Tension pneumothorax," she said, low and even. He was crashing. Whitman stared at the needle, then at her badge. "You're the tech," he said, disbelief curdling into fury. Guards grabbed her arms. Fabric tore. Skin showed. A mark older than this hospital caught the light. Somewhere behind them, a man stopped walking, and the night shifted again. The room didn't breathe until the older man spoke. "Let her go." His voice was not loud. It didn't need to be. The guards hesitated, because everyone does when authority sounds like memory instead of threat. He stepped forward out of the rain, suit darkened at the shoulders, eyes fixed on the brand as if it were a face he hadn't seen since a funeral. "That program was shut down," he said. "Slower now." They said there were no survivors. Emily met his gaze and felt the past rise, sharp and clean. "They were wrong," she answered, and the words carried weight because they were measured. Whitman recovered first, anger snapping back into place. "This is my trauma bay," he said, pointing, pacing. She performed an invasive procedure without a license. The nurse at the monitor cut in, voice thin with awe. "Vitals are stabilizing." The boy breathed. The machines agreed. Whitman waved it away, already building a story that kept him clean. "I want police." The older man looked at him like a map with the wrong legend. "You want outcomes," he said. "You just got one." They moved Emily to an office that smelled of wood and money, rain streaking the glass like judgment. She sat straight, hands quiet in her lap, sleeve still torn. The mark stayed visible. She let it. Somewhere below, the night kept coming. Somewhere above, decisions were about to catch up to the people who made them. The office felt smaller when Whitman started pacing, like a cage designed to amplify noise. "This is insane," he said, finger cutting the air toward her. "You don't get to decide when rules apply." Emily watched the rain bead and race on the glass, counted breaths, kept her pulse where it belonged. The older man took the corner seat, pain tight in his jaw, eyes never leaving the mark. "Doctor," he said, "you missed the diagnosis." Whitman spun. "I prioritized bleeding." "You prioritized what you saw," the man replied. She treated what was killing him. Emily finally spoke again, not loud, not soft. "Standard protocol fails when the situation isn't standard." The words landed flat, factual, worse than an insult. Whitman flushed. "You think you're above the law?" "No," she said. "I think the law assumes time." Silence followed, thick and uneasy. The man rose with a grunt, introducing himself without ceremony. "Michael Harrington." The name shifted the room. He explained just enough. A pilot program. Surgeons trained like operators. Medicine without power, without backup. "They told us the unit was lost," he said. "I signed papers." He looked at her then. Really looked. "How are you here?" Emily's eyes flickered, pain contained. "The airstrike was late," she said. "By minutes that last forever." Outside, sirens multiplied. Inside, the building leaned toward another decision point, and the night sharpened its teeth. The lights went red without warning, bathing the office in emergency glow that made every face look guilty. The intercom cracked and bled fear. Code black. Trauma 1. "We need help now." Whitman was already moving for the door. Harrington stopped him with a hand that carried old rank. "That wasn't medical," he said. "Listen again." Emily tilted her head, eyes unfocusing as if tuning a dial. "They didn't say evacuate," she said. "They said help." Her voice sharpened. "That means a weapon." Whitman laughed once, brittle. "You're not leaving this room." Emily walked past him anyway, and the room parted like it recognized the right to do so. In the hallway, the hospital was a broken choir. Battery lights flickered. Headlights from idling ambulances cut white bars through smoke. Trauma 1 opened to a sight that froze the staff against the walls. 2 gurneys pushed together. 2 men bound by rusted rebar, breath sinking pain into pain. A cop and a prisoner skewered into a single problem no textbook wanted. Whitman reached for bolt cutters. "We separate them," he said, loud enough to convince himself. "No," Emily answered from the shadows, stepping into the beam. "You cut that bar, and you kill them both." He sneered. "And you know this how?" She pointed, precise. "Dark blood. Steady flow. The bar is the plug." The room leaned toward her words, because the words were right. The night, watching, smiled without warmth. "We don't cut," Emily said, already gloving up. The prisoner snarled, thrashing until her hand settled on his forehead and the fight leaked out of him, surprised by calm. We slide him off. Gasps rippled. Whitman shook his head, sweat cutting lines through the red light. "There's no room." Emily looked at him, steady as a horizon. "There is if you've worked in cockpits and tunnels." She rolled her sleeves and the brand showed, unapologetic. "You manage the airway. Keep him conscious. I'll clamp the liver." Whitman stared, then obeyed because the alternative was watching men die. The cut was small. The work was not. Emily leaned into the impossible space, movements spare, exact. She cut like a sapper diffusing a bomb, not a surgeon chasing elegance. Retractor. Whitman's hands shook as he held. "I have the artery," Emily said, fingers blind but certain. Clamp! Metal clicked. A nurse called numbers that climbed back from the edge. Emily breathed once. Now. Harrington stepped in to pull the prisoner straight back, no twist, no mercy. The sound was wet and awful. The man came free and lived. The officer stayed, bar still in him, alive because the clamp held. Whitman removed the steel and closed, awe burning through his fear. He looked up at Emily, like the ground had shifted. "Who are you?" She stripped her gloves, tremor catching up at last. "I told you," she said. "I work downstairs." The shot into the ceiling turned the room inside out. Plaster snowed down onto sterile blue, and 3 men in dark gear flowed through the doors with rifles already shouldered, faces hidden, eyes cold. They didn't look at the patients. They scanned the staff like inventory. "Down," the leader said, voice filtered and flat. "We're here for a designation." Whitman stepped in front of the officer he'd just closed, spine stiff with a courage he didn't know he had. "This is a hospital," he said, shaking but loud. "You don't get to hunt people here." The leader tilted his head and aimed at Brenda Lawson. She froze, hands trembling at her mouth, tears spilling without sound. "Asset," he said calmly, "or she becomes anatomy." The room went silent in a way that hurt. Harrington's hand drifted toward his ankle and stopped. Emily stood still, counting distance, counting angles, knowing the overlap would kill whoever moved first. She recognized the kit, the cadence, the way they held space. Cleaners. She felt the old math settle into her bones. "They're not here for drugs," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. They're here for me. She stepped forward before anyone could beg her not to. Silas, she said, testing the name like a key. The leader paused, surprised enough to be dangerous. I don't burn easy, Emily went on, voice steady. What's the contract? He smiled behind the mask. Loose ends, he said, and witnesses. The night closed its fist. Emily moved when fear peaked, because fear makes patterns predictable. She nudged the crash cart with her foot, just enough to set the plan in motion, and whispered, Check the pressure. Silas frowned a fraction too late. The cart toppled. The oxygen cylinder tore free and became a missile, a screaming white blur that smashed a rifle and threw a man into the wall hard enough to end the argument. Noise swallowed the room. Fog burst. Whitman tackled Brenda flat as rounds chewed air. Emily was already gone. She slid under a gurney, scalpel flashing once, twice a cut meant to steal balance, not life. She rolled, came up running, bare feet slapping linoleum, as alarms layered into a single furious pulse. The hospital turned into a maze she had memorized by necessity, the spaces between spaces, the service chases and steam doors and forgotten stairs. She stripped the scrub top as she ran, shedding the last costume. The basement swallowed her whole. Boots followed, heavy and confident, then unsure. Emily waited in the decontam room where steam hid truth. She didn't attack bodies. She attacked senses. Cleaner burned eyes, metal bit soft armor. A pistol appeared in her hand like it had always been there. 2 shots. Quiet returned, brief and fragile. Emily checked the radio, breath steady. Team 2 is done, she said, voice flat. Above her, Silas answered with a promise and a clock. 10 minutes. The building listened. Steam roared when she tore the safety and forced the pressure past polite limits. The pipes shuddered like something waking up angry. Emily backed behind steel, raised the pistol, and fired once. The basement erupted into white heat that raced the ducts, bypassed patient loops, and flooded stairwells and lobbies with blinding vapor. Alarms screamed. Above, men cursed as thermal sights died and plans unraveled. Emily moved into the noise, rifle slung, breath slow, climbing toward the roof that wasn't coming to meet her. Harrington stumbled out of a stairwell, bleeding and desperate. It's a trap, he said, gripping her sleeve with old strength. They're baiting you. He told her the part that cut deeper than shrapnel. The order didn't come from enemies. It came from command, from clean rooms and signatures. Emily absorbed it without flinching. Betrayal didn't change the math. They have my people, she said. I don't leave them. Harrington pressed a key card into her palm, metal warm. Bring them down, he whispered. Make them fight on your ground. Emily nodded once and vanished into the atrium's glass throat as lightning stitched the sky. She keyed the override and forced the express car to descend, dragged vending machines into a V, tied balloons to a wheelchair, and set the stage like a quiet dare. When the doors chimed and opened, Silas stood with Whitman as a shield. Emily rose from shadow above, ready to end it the way she always had. White powder bloomed in the air before anyone understood it was a weapon. The extinguisher detonated mid-fall, swallowing the lobby in choking fog that erased distance and courage at the same time. Silas fired blind, shoving Whitman forward. But Emily was already moving, a shadow cutting angles inside the cloud. She didn't shoot first. She cut. A wrist opened, a weapon clattered, a body folded. "Run!" she barked, and the director crawled away on shaking hands as the fog thinned and the truth sharpened. Silas kept Whitman tight, gun pressed to bone. Emily stepped into the open, hands high, breath controlled. She spoke to Whitman like they were alone. Anatomy. Nerves. Pressure. He understood because he finally saw her. He moved when she told him to, a desperate, perfect motion that broke the hold for a heartbeat. That was enough. One shot shattered a shoulder. Steel fell. Silas charged with a knife, and Emily met him, the fight ugly and close, ending not with a bullet, but with knowledge, a pressure point that stole the heart's rhythm and dropped him hard. Sirens closed in. Whitman tore off his coat and pressed it to her bleeding arm. Harrington urged her away before the clean men arrived. Emily pulled on a paramedic jacket, hid the mark, and walked out the back without looking back. Days later, Whitman folded a tray the right way and found a postcard with a familiar symbol. The ghost was still out there. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and comment tell us more.